Deathloop, developed by Arcane Studios and published by Bethesda. Now, Arcane have had some great games under their belt. Prey and Dishonored series were both critically and commercially successful. Having clocked in many hours into 3 games, I was excited to see the next addition to the collection. It had felt as if Deathloop was at every game show for the last 2 years, with the devs marketing the unique time loop system as if they had just invented sliced bread. I found it odd that Sony were also pushing this game so much more than they would usually push any other game. Let's see if the game warrants all the attention it was given. Here is the Deathloop review. Let's break it down. Right off the bat, I got Dishonored vibes from the art style, to the UI and even various powers that are shown off. They have a distinctive Dishonored vibe. You are greeted with an up-close and personal cutscene which involves your death, and so begins your journey. Black Reef, the subarctic island you are currently residing in, has its moments of beauty as you stroll from one thing to the next. Going from jagged cliffsides overlooking Arctic waters to houses lined up tightly covered in paint, as if a blimp filled with an abundance of tins had spontaneously exploded, resulting in a cascade of colours that would even make the residents of San Francisco blush. The game is set in the 1960s, and thus comes the plethora of different colour palettes and themes. It was at this moment though I realised that Deathloop looks like Dishonored with guns. This is a really persistent thing the whole way through the game. Now, there aren't many locations, but they do look quite different when the time of the day shifts. Speaking of shifting, you'll find various weapons and gizmos which will all aid in your journey. Some look amazing as you shift from one weapon to another, supplemented by the supernatural powers you get, whether it be blinking through the distance, turning invisible, pretending to be someone that you're not. I distinctly remember teleporting behind an enemy with a legendary automatic shotgun I'd found, which was caked in gold, to then unload an onslaught of lead right into the back of the enemy's head. Satisfying, stylish, and most importantly smooth, which are all trademarks for Arcane. Deathloop features a time loop mechanic, one which was heavily marketed for that matter. It involves our character repeating the same day over and over again in an attempt to break the loop. To do so, Colt, our protagonist, must kill 7 visionaries, who are responsible for said time loop. As you go about your maiming and destruction of these targets, you'll find that you don't have enough time in a day to successfully complete this task, and this is where the mechanics of the loop come into play. Eventually, you'll find a way to keep certain items, and those items that you'd naturally use during the loops would slowly begin staying with your character, creating you into a supernatural death machine. Your character becomes smarter, more keyed into the events, which lead to the loop in the first place. It's a great way to progress a story in a meaningful way while also keeping the player's interests at the high for the next chapter in the story. This interest is only amplified by the next major character, Juliana. Juliana is one of these visionaries. She seems to be the only one who can retain any information through the loops, and now she's out to protect it. Each visionary poses unique challenges reminiscent of Dishonored or even the original Assassin's Creed. You'll have set moments to unleash your slaughter, and often you have to orchestrate these moments so they come to fruition. Juliana is a different kettle of fish though. She stalks your every moment, adding tension to the situation, and through a unique invade mechanic, you can actually play as Juliana herself. And hunting down Colt is a lot of fun. And I'm not ashamed to admit I played a lot of Juliana, and I have numerous Colt skulls hanging from my living room chandelier. The invade mechanic is great. It's an excellent way of mixing up the single player experience, which can be turned off by the way, just in case that kind of thing gives you anxiety. Juliana levels up in her own way, and with cosmetics to match, making her truly feel unique. The combat is a blend of stealth and all-out assault. You'll navigate through the security checkpoints, dank cellars and penthouse suites, all of which have their own challenges. I recommend stealth at least when starting off as Colt, seeing as he is squishier than a pack of gummy bears being thrown into a hydraulic press. Once you start saving your gear through each loop, you'll find trinkets you can equip along with slabs of power that you can obtain, and these can be absolute game changers. And this kept the gameplay fresh and entertaining the whole way through. So I can't reveal too much about the story, that's because it's all spoilery. And I'm not kidding. This section is going to be short. The basic premise is our protagonist, Colt, is stuck in a time loop. he is attempting to break the loop by killing 7 specific people, all the while being stalked by Juliana. As you progress through the story, you'll start to piece the story together bit by bit, and it's never spoon-fed to you, and this is something I really appreciate. I much prefer games that allow me to use my own initiative to discover each crevice of this story. I really enjoyed Colt and Juliana's banter and the relationship that they had with each other going through the game. In relation to the gameplay and the story, it's all laid out very intricately and there are subtle nuances that fill in the gaps. This helps when the gameplay starts to get a little stale around the mid-game. Now, don't get me wrong, the weapons and abilities do keep it fresh, but the general routine of the game does get a little stale in the mid-game, like I said. The game is about 15 to 30 hours, which is highly dependent on how fast or slow you go through the game. My advice is enjoy the ride. There's a lot to unpack across 3 endings. I definitely have my favourite ending and it was well worth the wait. De novo should not be coupled with games, and I refuse to accept this. Not only does it cripple performance, but it causes headaches when trying to multitask. Even on a monster PC, running a 3080, a 10900K and 32GB of RAM, I had FPS issues. It's absolutely unacceptable and I hate it. Please find other ways to protect your IPs. Not only that, but the micro stuttering at high FPS made the game feel like it was running at 12 FPS, and I love building a supercomputer to run games at 12 FPS, it really makes my day. There is now a patch out to alleviate this issue, but there are other issues like the game's UI freezing, leaving you unable to do anything, and then you are left in a puddle of your own tears as you try to restart your entire loop again. Good thing I broke into that super secure bunker and spent 40 minutes slowly crawling through each mine-infested corridor to then have the pleasant opportunity to do it all again. Close the windows on this nonsense please and release games in a playable state. Thanks. That will be all. There isn't much in the way of music during the actual gameplay. It tends to only be present during action sequences and cutscenes. It does a good job of setting the tone but doesn't add anything to the atmosphere. Visionary interactions generally have some music to them, and they feel samey and often uninspired. What did inspire me, however, was Juliana and Colt's voice lines. The witty banter going back and forth is top class and definitely entertains you while you're lining up your sniper shot on the head of an enemy. Juliana always comes across as an incredibly sharp, no pun intended, person, often adding context to an otherwise dead scenario. Colt's voice actor portrays the plethora of emotions that a human would feel in that situation with surgical precision, hitting the nail on the head whenever it would be frustration or joy showing through the character. It's all excellently played out, which only adds to an already fantastic story. The voice lines and the voice work is just generally amazing, and it was a pleasure to listen to these guys speak over and over again. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed the review. If it were not for the massive technical issues, the crashes, and the anti-piracy destroying my CPU, I would have enjoyed this game so much more. There was so much potential for this to be a very excellent and one of the all-time great kind of games. It's just really such a shame. So please guys, Arcane, Bethesda, if you're listening to this, if you're listening to this tiny, small YouTuber, please, sire, please get rid of the anti-piracy de novo. My CPU and GPU are so tired of frying, so tired. Do us a favor as consumers. And if you don't believe me, check your reviews. It will always be about performance issues. The story was great. Juliana and Colt had such great chemistry, the voice actors did amazing work, the guns, the powers, everything kind of gelled together and it was like a fresh new take on Dishonored. I loved it. And I'm a long-time fan of your franchise. I love these games, I love the series, I love everything about the games that you make, but the anti-piracy kills me every time. So please guys, make that adjustment, make it easier for consumers. Guys, for you watching at home, I think you should wait for a sale. I think this is a great game, but until these issues are ironed out, don't buy it at full price. If they fix it and it's still at full price, then maybe consider it. It is a great game. You can go across to most YouTubers and kind of most review channels and it rates really highly. So that's saying something. But I do feel, in my opinion, that there are too many technical issues for me personally to give it an excellent score. So that way I'm going to give it a green and amber score. It won't go up until the improvements come live, at least. I don't know when that's going to happen. A patch has been given out recently. You'll find this game on PC and PlayStation. It's not anywhere else right now, but hopefully they'll bring in the fixes and maybe bring it to another console. I hope you enjoyed the review. I really did enjoy this one if it wasn't for the crushing issues. Thanks for the support. I'm so close to 1,000 subs and I keep growing. It's all down to you guys. Thank you so much. And I will see you on the next breakdown. Bye.